Hello, in this lesson we'll look at the difference between creating a document for print and creating a document for web. As you already know, to create a new document you have to go here and click File, New, and this will open up a new document window. Okay, so this is the new document window, and you can see, as we had mentioned earlier, that there are multiple profiles here, and you can name your document anything you want, but you don't need to name it right away. You can wait until you save the document to name it. But if you're working on a large project, you probably want to name it right away. So the profiles are web, print, devices, video and film, and basic RGB. Now you might know what web means. It's for web design. If you're mocking up a web page, you want to use this profile. And if you want to print something, you want to use print. Now what is devices? Devices or web profile can be used for web design because most of these days, most of the web pages are viewed on mobile devices like iPad, iPhone, Nexus, Galaxy, or any other kind of devices that if that has an HD display or a semi HD display at least. Now depending on these settings, your width and height of the document will change, and your orientation can always be adjusted depending on how you want the user to hold their phone. And when you look here, you see the color mode is RGB for this, and you see something called PPI. That means pixels per inches. To display something on screen, you only need about 72 pixels per inch. But when you actually want to print something, you take it to print mode. You can see that the PPI changes to 300, which means that 300 pixels per inch is at least necessary to print something onto a paper to ensure the quality of it. Now, if you want to print something and display it on screen, you probably want to go with a web profile, and uh, you know you can go to these templates here if you have something installed. But if not, the problem with going through a web profile is that the screen is only 72 ppi. So when you click here, an advanced option will open up, and you can leave the color mode as it is, or you can change it to CMYK when you want to print it till you save the document, and you want to change it to a high setting in the raster effects, which means that everything that Illustrator creates is a scalable vector graphics, but you cannot print vector graphics as it is without converting it to raster graphics, which means, well, if you have to print something, you have to print it pixel by pixel. So the only way to do that is to convert this vector graphics into raster graphics, and this thing here, the raster effects, determines the quality of the print. So make sure you change it from screen to high, otherwise you'll get a lousy quality print. And the preview mode is nothing to be messed up with. You don't want to, you can either change it to pixel or overprint, but you can leave it at default and it will take care of itself. And you have this other option called align new objects to pixel grid. Now what is that? When you work on Illustrator, there is an invisible grid that moves through this window. It's called the pixel grid. That means all the pixels are arranged in a grid fashion here. Now, sometimes when you create objects, the objects will line up themselves in the middle of a pixel or in between pixels. You don't want that to happen. You want the objects to align to the pixel grids so that they fall exactly on the pixels. So that's what this option does. You can even turn it off if you want to. It doesn't make much of a difference to us. The app will take care of itself. So after you have all that, you can just press OK, and this new document will turn up, and you can do what you want on this document and then eventually save it. To save the document, you can go to File and Save, and note that it will save as a .ai file, which means Adobe Illustrator file, or you can save it as a PDF or a scalable vector graphics that can be imported into other applications as well. So if you save it as a PDF, you can open it up with a PDF viewer and all that. So that's how you save it. Now, there's a difference between saving it and exporting it. When you export a document, you will get far more options than saving it as a PDF file. When you export it, you can immediately see that you can export it even as an AutoCAD drawing, which means that you can open it up with AutoCAD, and you can export it into raster graphics formats like JPEG or bitmaps and all that. You can also save it as a style sheet. This is a new option. And even Photoshop, PNG, and whatnot. And if you want something for the web, you probably want to save it as a PNG because it will preserve the transparency and it will also preserve the light layers and all that. JPEG does not preserve the luminosity of the image, and JPEG does not hold an alpha channel, which deals with the opacity of the document. So when you want to save something for the web, save in a PNG. Okay, so that's about exporting the documents and importing, and all the document settings. In the next lecture, we will actually start creating shapes and layers. So thanks for watching this lecture. Please to review the course.